Welcome, welcome. Week 5, new NEW 27. We are headed out of factoring, but I have bad news. It's not going to be long before you see it again. This week will center around pretty much all of the applications of factoring. So I'm so glad that everyone did so well with it. You guys were factoring rock stars because you are going to need it again this week. So do not let it stray far from your mind. We are going to have to pick up on this new stuff so that you can apply the factoring to it. So let's look at what we're looking at, or let's see what we're looking at. All right, so we are going to look at proportions. The good news is with proportions, it starts out pretty basic, and you can leave all your answers as simplified fractions. So with proportions, it's not only are we going to apply it to factoring, or are we going to apply factoring to it, but it's an application of solving equations. So remember when I said, equations were going to kind of haunt you? Here they come again. So the one difference is, although it looks like two fractions kind of put together, what you have to notice is the equal sign in between. What that does is it creates a scenario where you do what's called cross multiplying. So you take 5 times x, and you're going to set that equal to 8 times 11, which is the other side. Now, I don't usually write this out as, like, I would do the next step. Well, I would write it this step without the dots in between. So my first step would look like this. Okay, 5x equals 88. And you're going to solve that equation. So we are going to divide both sides by 5. You're going to get x equals. You're going to see if that simplifies. If it does, great. If it doesn't, even better, to be honest, because then we're done and we can just leave it like that. So our answer is x equals 88 over 5. And we're done. On to the next one. So we cross multiply this and this. So almost like boxing, corner to corner. It does not matter if you put the top of the left or the top of the right first. I tend to always keep my x on my left side. That's just how I do it. So if you notice, like in number 1, I grabbed this side to go with my left, whereas this time I'll grab this one to go on my left. So you see, like it was like my down diagonal, whereas this one's my up diagonal. I just like to keep my x on the left. That's just my personal preference because that's how I like to solve equations. So I have 14x equals 63. And again, how did I get that? I did 14 times x gives me 14x. 7 times 9 gets me 63 on the other side. I always want an equation, so I want an equal sign in between. I divide both sides by 14. Now, this is where your work for simplifying equations comes in, because right there I know that 63 breaks down into 9 and 7 because I just did that, right? I mean, I just came from 7 times 9. And I know that 14 has a 7 times 2. So those cancel. So I know that this will simplify into 9 over 2. So even if you, if you have your calculator, great. If you don't, if you have your multiplication chart, this is where it comes in handy. So there it is. All right. Number 3. there, and there. So I have 5x equals 17 times 12, 14, 14, 204. All right, and then I'm dividing both sides by 5. And I know that's not going to be divisible by 5 because 204 doesn't end in a 5. So I am going to leave that. All right, now here's the one rule. I just told you fractions, 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 like simplify. If it starts with decimals, it can end with decimals. Okay? So when you do this, you're going to get 8.4x equals, and then 9.1 times 6, and you're going to get 54.6. You're going to divide both sides by 8.4. And you're going to get 6.5. All right, on to the next. All right, cross multiplying. Get 7x equals 54. I don't believe that simplifies because, again, 7's a prime number. Anytime you have prime numbers in there, 54 is not divisible by that because 56 is, so 54 is not going to be, and you're all done. This one starts with decimals, so you can end with decimals. So 12.5x equals 3.2 times 3 is 9.6. We're going to divide both sides by 12.5. And we are going to get 0.768. Now they didn't tell us how to round, so we're just going to leave it like that. Okay, because it's only 3 spots and we're not going to bother rounding for that. All right, the next one. We're going to get 40x equals 30 times 7, which is 910. Dividing both sides by 40. Now, the rule is if you have 2 zeros on the end, you can cross them out. So we get 91 over 4. Now, 91... there's a couple weird 51 and 91. I know 51 is divisible by 17. So, you'll want to check like if it is divisible, but I don't think it is. So you are done. All right. And then the last one, we get 3x equals 84. Divide both sides by 3. X equals, I think this one is divisible. We get 28. Yep. And we are done. All right. So that's an introduction to proportions. We'll look more in depth at them in the next video, and you will have a collected assignment. So if you have any questions, please let me know.